Hey everybody, what's up? Vusi, back home in South Africa. Really excited to be back home. I've missed the weather, I've missed the people, I've missed home, I've missed the politics. I see there were people at a conference who, instead of debating packages over pieces of paper, I thought it was a good idea to use furniture. It's just like, what are you guys doing? This is leadership, eh? When you use furniture as a means of expression. I mean, we've come a long way from intellectual debate to architectural debate. All right, I'm gonna stop. So first, I wanted to say to all of you that have supported me on the first round of the Global Inspiration Tour, thank you. Europe was amazing. North Africa was absolutely amazing. To Abdel Malek and the team in Morocco, you guys were absolutely phenomenal. I know we had some logistical challenges, but you came through. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to be back in your beautiful country to do some more work, because I do think that what we need is a movement that pulls together entrepreneurs, not only from South Africa, which we're doing a lot of, but also actually from the rest of the continent. Just pulls it all together. So watch this space. We're going to be doing some interesting stuff. But I was having a thought. So first, a couple of you were saying to me that how come we hadn't posted any of my random musings? Certainly not in the past 2 to 3 weeks thereabout. And it's just because I've been traveling. I've been on the road, and internally in the office there's been a lot of things happening. We had our launch of our Top 40 event. If you've not seen the video, it's live on Facebook. You can actually go and watch it. All the entrepreneurs that were in the room, we had it at the Capitol here in Sandton. It was amazing, guys. We had media there to show love, and to all the media houses that came out, Sunrise, Jacaranda, SABC, everybody that came out, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we had all our entrepreneurs in the room. Dr. Maponya wasn't able to join us because he was sick. And as you know, of course, he's joined our fund as an honorary patron. So Roy, his son, came over. It was just a beautiful night. Beautiful night. So the past 3 weeks have been a whirlwind of doing some earth-shattering, game-changing stuff here at home, and then doing some earth-shattering, game-changing stuff overseas. Like, what a year this has just been for me, and I'm truly, truly blessed. And of course, for those of you who don't know, I've been appointed to the board of the South African Venture Capital Association. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal because those of us who work in alternative asset classes, specifically private equity and venture capital, know that money is an important instrument in changing the lives of entrepreneurs in this country and the future of where this country goes. So I'm really looking forward to being part of that instrument, part of that structure, and helping us build an economy that is inclusive by its nature, right? So on to today's music. So I suppose as a part of my travel, I was just having this thought. And one of the things that has occurred to me is, one of the challenges we face in South Africa is we think that being an entrepreneur and being in enterprise are the same thing, and they're not. In his book, 0 to 1, Peter Thiel talks about this. The idea that being an entrepreneur is going from nothing to something, going from 0 to 1. So a good example of this would be Microsoft. So when Bill Gates created the Microsoft Windows operating system, he was an entrepreneur. He went from nothing to something. When Steve Ballmer and then later Satya Nadella were running and are running as Satya Nadella is now, Microsoft, he's not an entrepreneur. He's an enterprise. You follow? Right. So another example of this. If there were factories around Ikaslam, and these factories had it was like an industrial complex with a couple of factories in it. And Big Nabu Mama who would come and put like 2 drums there and put like a wooden plank. And then at home at night, they would cook food, bap, and chicken runs and all sorts of things. And then they would come and sell it to the laborers working in those factories. Those ladies were entrepreneurs. Went from nothing to something. The person that went and met with the head office at Steers and got a franchise to open a Steers across the way from the same factory, that person is not an entrepreneur. He's an enterprise. Because what did he do? He went to a company with an existing formula, a brand that existed, a template of products that existed, and pricing structure that's already set. He went and opened up a shop, raising a loan typically to get the shop to open it. And then he takes 20% of his money and he pays it to the franchisor as a royalty fee. He doesn't make a decision about where the buns get bought. Head office does. He doesn't make a decision about where the meat patties come from or where the vegetables come from. Head office does. He doesn't write the training manual. Head office did. He doesn't even manage the till. Head office gave him the till. So with the greatest of respect, he's actually, I suppose, a store manager with a title and some profit share. He's not an entrepreneur. He's an enterprise. This is important to understand, because when you understand this, you then understand why over the past 20 years, thereabout, we've been talking about building entrepreneurship in this country, and we've not done it. A simple reason we've not done it is because we have treated people in enterprise like they are entrepreneurs. So you go to a DFI, you ask them for money to fund your business. What do they ask you for? A business plan and a cash flow model. But how do I give you a business plan and a cash flow model when all I know is how do I know? I don't know. But I know that there are laborers who work there, and every single day I'm going to sell to them. Now, if you went to the DFIs and asked them for a loan for this, you don't get as far as if you go to them and say, look, I've got a site that's been approved by a petroleum company, let's say Total, and they're going to allow me to open up a petroleum company there. That they will fund. Your business to sell Moshu? Not really. Now, without being political, this is an important point to make, because a part of the reason we live in an economy that is in truth, a zero growth economy in actual real terms, like it's a zero growth economy with a 40% unemployment rate, broad definition, 28% unemployment rate, narrow definition. A part of the reason you live in that country today that promises fewer economic prospects for young black Africans coming up in townships than it did 10 years ago. A part of the reason why you have young people graduating from universities and not finding jobs because there is no employment. A part of the reason why you're having young people go to universities and rack up huge debt, come out of that system and then realize the education they got wasn't fit for the world they came into, is precisely because rather than us do the things we need to do to build entrepreneurs that build businesses, that build a future that creates employment, we are funding the things we are comfortable funding. We fund enterprises, not entrepreneurs. Get it? It's once you understand it, it's a massive revelation. And then let me just quickly end with this. So over the weekend, a fellow called Keith, and you can follow him on Twitter. I think it's Keith Livingston. I forget his name, and Keith, forgive me if I'm getting it wrong. He runs a BE ratings agency, and he was talking about some of the tricks predominantly white companies are pulling to like cheat the BE system. The most phenomenal tricks, guys are running 100 million rand companies, going to the police station, getting an affidavit saying, I'm a transformed company. And they're using that to unlock procurement opportunities rather than actually transforming, right? So he was telling me about some of these things, or rather he was tweeting about some of these things these companies are doing. And I thought it was fascinating because I love history. I really am. And I'm a student of history because I think if you want to understand why you are where you are, you need to understand how you got here. But when the Afrikaners took power through the National Party in 1948, they decided that they were not going to have a system that bought shares from anybody. They decided they were going to use entrepreneurs to build businesses. The Afrikaners went from 0 to 1. Oldest insurance firm in South Africa, Mutual and Federal, started in 1896, thereabout. When the Afrikaners came into power in 1948, they didn't buy shares in Mutual and Federal. They created Santam and Sanlam. You understand? Some of the oldest banks that have been operating in South Africa, when the Afrikaners came into the banking market, they didn't buy those banks, they created their own, Volkskas, and a couple of others. Some of the oldest agricultural corporations and corporations that have been running in this country, when the Afrikaners came into power, they didn't buy them, they created their own. Think about since 1994, what have been one of the fastest growing stocks in this country? Capitec. The Afrikaners didn't go and buy any other bank, they created their own and they funded it. It's like, it seems to me fascinating that we just don't get this. Entrepreneurship is going from nothing to something, from 0 to 1. Now, I'm not trying to take a stab at people that run franchises. You are an enterprise, and being an enterprise is important because you learn management skill that teaches you eventually how to become an entrepreneur and how to run a business. But this is a conversation to people who work in my industry specifically DFIs who finance entrepreneurs. Please stop disguising financing people in enterprise and call it financing entrepreneurship. If you're financing more people to buy more, if you're financing more people to get more debt to buy companies that white people built, that's not financing entrepreneurs. That's financing people in enterprise. If we're going to say we're going to finance entrepreneurs, then let's actually do it. Let's find the people who are doing weird, wacky, and wonderful things Let's give them the capital to create their own businesses so that we can own the things we say we own, not the things we're being seen to own. That's the only way you get the young kid coming up in Diepsloot to grow up in a world where when he's finished university, if he gets that opportunity, he will actually get a job. Until then, we'll still have more service delivery protests. What a thought, right? So, look, I'd be keen to see your thoughts. You know me. Comment, give us your feedback. Be kind to one another. I love you.